Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.
Insight Talk Radio Show was born from the need to spread the word to all who want to live the amazing life the Creator has intended for us. Reverend Janet Reynolds has 30 years of spiritual insight and experience. She has studied and taught in and outside of this country and has developed a respect for all religions, beliefs, and spiritual practices that are of God's true light. The lessons she learned are now shared every week on Insight Talk Radio. Tune in every Tuesday from 1:30 to 2:30 for spiritual guidance, tips, and techniques to aid you in your life's journey. The show also features interesting guest phone readings, healings, and meditations.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our show, Insight. I am Janet Reynolds, your host for today. I am a spirit medium and intuitive counselor with the help of Blue Feather, my guide. And today, our topic is going to be on Aura Soma, which is something that is very different. And I just want you to know that we have two gentlemen here today. And I want to say two British gentlemen here today. And Robert Brown is on my right. And I'm going to ask Robert to say hello.
Hello.
You can say a little bit more than that.
Hello, it's nice to be in America and it's nice to be on the show, and I'd like to share a few things with you hopefully today.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Now, on my left is his best friend, right, Kit?
Something like that.
Yeah, Kit. Now, I know I'm saying Kit, but I know your name is a little bit longer than that.
Yes.
So would you like to tell everybody who you are?
No.
Well, you have to, okay?
My name's Kitty-Own George Mitchell, but it's Kitty-Own, which is John from the island of Fiji.
Okay, come closer to your mic, I think.
Okay.
I think. There you go.
There
now
we
I
go.
can
Sorry,
hear you.
I'll repeat all that again.
Yes, please.
My name's Kitty-Own George Mitchell, and Kitty-Own is John from the island of Fiji.
Oh, okay. All right. That was good. And the good part about that was I understood what he said. And that is
Very rare.
And I know that it takes me a while to adjust my ears to the British talk. But let me tell you all a little bit something about Robert Brown in about 1 minute. And then, but what I want to do first to start out is say that if anybody would like to call in and ask any questions or would like to put in their own input, tell us something that maybe we don't know, you dial 727-597-4022. Now, after many years of training at the Arthur Findlay College in Essex, the UK, and his local spiritualist church, Robert Brown is bringing his unique abilities as a medium to the USA. Rob excels as a reader with Aura Soma. And just so you know, Aura Soma is a healing designed to work on the mind, the body, and the spirit as a whole. And he did a reading for me with Aura Soma, and it really was great. But I'm going to let him tell all of y'all what Aura Soma is about. It's your turn, Rob.
Thank you. Yeah, Aura Soma, and the name means light body. So it is about building the light body. It's about the understanding that we are beings of light and we vibrate to different frequencies which are part of the greater. And when I trained as a medium and I trained as a healer, I realized that one of the things that was missing was an understanding and answers to why we were here. It was important to know that our loved ones survived beyond physical death. But when I was introduced to Aura Soma, I realized I'd found a tool that actually could answer why we were here, what our mission was, why we'd chosen to incarnate in this lifetime, and how we could actually begin to access that information and begin to live the life we were meant to live.
Now, see, that was really good. And I just want to say one thing, because everybody knows I love to go to Wikipedia. And I just love to put the words in of what we're doing and get what they feel it's all about. And I want you to know that I put Aura Soma in the internet and on Wikipedia, and I got absolutely nothing.
That doesn't surprise me. I think one of the challenges that I've certainly set myself, and one of the challenges that Aura Soma face, is to get the information out there. Because again, whenever I go out and do exhibitions, the first thing people say is, how come we haven't come across this before? But it is out there. It's actually in 87 countries, and there's over 55,000 practitioners throughout the world who practice Aura Soma.
But you told me there was 3 countries especially.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it was a fact that surprised me that actually the 3 countries where it is most popular are Japan, Germany, and Italy, which struck me as the 3 countries that had lost the war, and it seems they were doing a lot to renew and improve their consciousness, because Aura Soma is a tool that works with consciousness.
Oh, now see there, especially with, it surprises me that it's in Italy or in Germany. It really does, because you never know, and I feel that's really good information to know that people are trying, to make life a little bit better for themselves. Can we say that?
Yeah, I think what's really nice about Aura Soma, and one of the things that appealed to me, is Aura Soma encompasses all beliefs, all religions, because it brings in the beliefs of Christianity, the beliefs of Buddhism, brings in astrology, numerology, the Buddhist tendencies. It brings many things together. It's an all-encompassing soul therapy, which even covers information to do with past lives, to do with soul groups. So I think it appeals to many people because it's not just along one strand of beliefs.
And I agree with you on that. With how you did it for me yesterday, it just there was quite a bit. I picked a color at a time, and each color that I picked, Rob was able to tell me what that meant to him, or what that meant. Am I saying that? That's makes sense,
that's right, because we are drawn to certain color frequencies, and each color has a vibration. It addresses a different aspect of our metaphysical and energy bodies, and we're all on a color ray, and those colors will represent patterns of behavior to us, whether they're positive or negative. For instance, violet, which is often considered to be the most spiritual color, in its positive represents a possibility to be of service, to make a difference in the world. And when you think of violet, it is a combination in equal parts of blue and red. We consider blue to represent the sky, the spirit world to represent God, the ultimate authority, and red is the physical world, the material world that we live in. If we get it right, then we can have that violet of service. We can bring heaven to earth. But often, if we get it wrong, we can be depressed. We can feel we don't want to be here. And many people can be struggling between those 2 extremes, wanting to be of service but not finding the right way forward. So then they become depressed because they don't feel they're here for a reason.
Now, also with the color purple, that has to do with the master teacher, Saint Germain.
That's right.
Yes.
And Saint Germain is the ascended master who is really leading the move forward at this time to bring most of humanity, who are very much in what we call the 3rd dimension, which is very much about being in the material world, to move humanity into the 4th dimension, which is more an understanding that we're here more than just to earn a living, more than just to survive. We all have gifts to give to the world.
And I really believe that with what you're doing, that really is, it's a gift. Yesterday when we did it, it just, the one thing that came through that Rob told me was a past life in Russia. And I had done a regression many, many years ago, and I had been a farmer in Russia. And what was funny is because I'm a redhead naturally as a child, and I was a redheaded Russian farmer. And I thought that was pretty neat. but I had died. I was laid out, and I could see all of this. And the thing that was really beautiful about it was that I could see all blue. That was all. It was just beautiful. It was all blue. And I've been told that we have a level over on the other side that is all blue. So that really gave me confirmation to my regression.
Yeah, I think that is important. And what you said about the blue, yeah, really when we look up to the sky, it is the totality of the blue that stands out. It represents the possibility of the ultimate authority, the creative source, and the possibility for peace to do with authority rather than feeling that maybe our own authority has been taken away at a lower level.
Yes, and I agree with all that. Now, I know that we have all your bottles on display out there, and everybody can see that. So now, how would you like to start to explain a little, more?
Yeah, I think Aura Soma works really well because I think one of the problems and the challenges we have that before we choose to incarnate, we come in with, really a spiritual aspect of the things we want to do. But in a way, once we get here, you could say life hits us, and it's how we respond to that, whether we allow it to destroy us or whether we can move through those challenges and opportunities. I always see it as a bit like Aura Soma acts as a mirror. It allows you to see yourself at the deepest level. Sometimes a good analogy for me would be when you go into the bathroom in the morning to have a shave, and the moment you run the taps, the moisture, it clouds the image in the mirror. And in a way, life's like that. The moisture, the challenges of life can wipe away the true reflection of who we are, and then we allow other people to put their patterns and their conditioning on us.
What happens if we don't shave?
Well, yeah, fortunately, fortunately, Aura Soma acts as a mirror for all. I should be careful of my metaphors.
No, that was good. That was good because I'm sitting here thinking, I don't shave. No. Well, not my face, anyway. That's funny. That was good. But go ahead, please.
Yeah, so Aura Soma really, because we're all drawn to colours, and colour is a reflection of the light. Each, from a metaphysical point of view, we all have energy centres, chakras, and the Sanskrit word chakra really means wheel of light, and each of us has those energy centres. And if some of those are not in balance, then we're not going to be able to deal with those issues in our life. For instance, often people that will pick red, particularly in the second bottle they choose, will be people that's maybe struggling with what I call the red issues, which are to do with the material world, to do with putting money on the table to paying the bills. And so by realising that, we can then begin to access the information that the bottles contain and also the qualities that it contain to bring those areas in our life and our chakras which are not in balance.
I wanted to ask you this yesterday, Rob, because I like your definition of the red chakra, the root chakra, but it can be anger, is that correct? And or fear?
It can be anger and frustration, but it also can be the opportunity to awaken that maybe we can do our material issues in a more enlightened way. If you shone light through the red, it would become pink, and pink is actually bringing a bit of love, a sense of abundance to how we meet our material requirements.
Yeah. Okay. I think because I'm so analytical that I just sometimes just see it one or two ways, not even thinking about putting light in the red or,
Yeah, it's interesting that we have a bottle in the range, bottle 55, and it's called the Christ bottle, and it's clear over red, which if you shook it would become pink. And really the message of the Christ was to bring a bit of enlightenment to the physical world, to bring a bit of self-love and unconditional love to why we suffer. And it's interesting that a lot of people would say 5 is the number of man, and so bottle 55 is a double 5, man within man, the Son of Man, which was the message that Jesus brought. And 55 added together would become 10, the individual supported by the source.
Yeah, and 10 would be a 1.
That's right.
Yeah, see? See, that's really fascinating to me. And then the orange and the yellow together when we were speaking yesterday. What was it that you told me the orange and the yellow were?
Yeah, the orange is to do with the sacral chakra. It's to do with our relationships, and really, sometimes we have to ask ourselves: are our relationships in balance? Are they interdependent, or are they dependent? Are we giving more to someone than we're getting back, or are we coming together to get the best of both of those possibilities? So, orange can be joy and bliss and insight, or it can be shock and trauma. Sometimes if we get our relationships wrong, then we suffer trauma and shock.
Bet you there's a lot of people walking around in trauma and shock.
Yeah, I think this is true, and I think this is one of, it's interesting that we have a bottle in Aura Soma, and it is all orange, orange over orange, and it's called Humpty Dumpty because we always say that had Humpty Dumpty had the orange bottle, they could have put him back together again.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Now that's good. Now see, with my orange, when I'm balancing out my chakras, my orange is creativity and my yellow is positive. So and it's the same thing that you're saying, but you have very good terminology for it.
Well, what's really nice about Aura Soma is that each bottle is almost like a character. It's like one of the roles that we could play, and they've each got names. We've got bottles like Robin Hood, we've got the Christ bottle, we've got bottles like Dolphin, and they all represent different aspects or different possibilities of how we express our consciousness, who we are into the world.
What number is Robin Hood?
Robin Hood is 27.
I didn't pick that yesterday, did I?
Yeah. Well, no, we talked about it. That's it. We talked about it.
I remember that now. Yeah.
And it was the green and red, and really Robin Hood, the story of Robin Hood, he was trying to redistribute the wealth. He was trying to move the wealth from those who are wealthy to those who needed a bit of that wealth.
Right. And that was and it's funny because we haven't told the people where you're from.
Yes, I'm actually from Nottingham, so
yeah.
Robin Hood is quite a familiar theme to my life and where I live.
Yeah, and I've been to Nottingham, and it's beautiful. Going to Europe is to me special. It really is. The only thing that I object to in England is the weather. It's not as, although of late ours hasn't been too good either, but at least we don't have 6 feet of snow.
No, it's England can have everything in terms of weather in a matter of a few days. We seem to have the worst winters and occasionally the best summers, but England, you can never rely on the weather. We always say it's the one thing we can't even blame on the government. And we blame everything else.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, the other thing, too, yesterday that with the colors that I picked, I did pick I think the last one was yellow.
Yeah.
And tell us.
Yellow is where we're beginning to connect to the intuition within. And we always say in Aura Soma, maybe intuition means inner tutor, inner wisdom. We're beginning to listen to that still small voice within, which is our soul and what our souls come to do, rather than sometimes listen to other people, which maybe they may have their own agenda. And if we're listening to ourselves, we're listening to our soul, which we believe sits just 2 finger widths above the navel, then we're connecting to who we are, why we've come here, and what our possibilities are.
Mm-hmm. And it's new beginnings also.
It is. It's new beginnings.
It's new beginnings. And that was what I did love to hear that. A lot of new beginnings. But I do know a lot of new beginnings for me, and I think that it's good that you gave me so much confirmation on everything. Now, you're going to be teaching this, is that correct?
Well, hopefully, yes. I mean, I teach it in England already. I teach it, Aura Soma is a system that you can become a practitioner in, or you can just learn it for yourself. But, if the opportunity is there, I would like to be able to teach it over here because I'd like other people to access what I've had the privilege to access myself in my own life, because I know it changed my life and opened up many possibilities for me.
Now, the other thing that you showed me, one thing's for sure, I know when you do have a class, I'll be there, because I just found it all so very interesting. And it's not only just knowing the colors, it's spirit talking to you also.
Yeah, it allows you to access greater levels of clairvoyance, levels of intuition, because really I think a lot of the time is our intuition and our clairvoyance is there, but so often we're so focused in the everyday, the material world, that we're not accessing that information at a conscious level. Aura Soma allows you to do that.
Okay. You don't put it on, do you, or do you?
Yes, what we generally say to people, they will make a selection of 4 bottles, and there's 110 to choose from, so you've got plenty of choices, but it will be from the 4 that you're most drawn to. And generally, your second bottle, we call it the gifts and the talents that have been selected to support the unfolding of what you come to do, but will address those challenges or those blockages that are holding you back. And each bottle, if you look at them, you can see that most of them are dual coloured. In the top of the bottle, it contains the aromatherapy oils or the essential oils from the plant. It also contains crystal energy and the energy of the colour and the light. The bottom part of the bottles contain the watery aspect of the plant or herbal extracts, plus the energies of crystal, gem and colour, and essence from the waters at Chalice Wells in Glastonbury, which are known for their healing gifts, are added. And they're designed to balance all those areas of you that are not in balance, but also bring your gifts out, your talents. For instance, if you look in front, the yellow one would remove any, you would apply it like a massage oil around the solar plexus area. It would allow you to overcome any fears, any issues to do with your own confidence, and allow you to begin to access your inner wisdom and your information that you lie within. It would allow you to bring more of your intuition. It's interesting that often when we're about to step forward and do something like today, which is a first for me in America, then, we can either have that warmth there, which is what I had because I know the information, and so you begin to touch your intuition, or we can have that knot of contraction, that little bit of fear, that little bit of lack of confidence in ourselves.
Right. And I understand that one. I really do, but I'm getting used to doing this and I'm really enjoying it. So the fear doesn't come as much.
No, I think that we were actually having a little conversation before we came in about the fact that initially this is not something that we might be comfortable with, but we begin to move out of our comfort zone and we begin to realise we've actually got more gifts, more possibilities than we realise, because the limit to those are only our own belief.
And that's true. And really, even for Rob, he's growing quite a bit. And I'm coming out quite a bit as well as he is. And Kit, what are you doing?
Listening to you two.
But you're growing, right?
I'm growing, yes, a great deal.
Yeah, see? So, you could let everyone know what you do.
I could do, yes.
Would you please?
Okay, so I'm what you would call in America a spirit medium. In the UK, I'm a medium. So for me, I just contact spirit, whoever's hanging around when I'm doing a reading for somebody, whoever's about who wants to communicate and makes a conversation with everybody. So that's what I do. I'm more or less the same as you.
I'm without the accent, right?
I'm without the accent, yes, definitely.
Mine has a draw to it.
Mine has a nice bit to it as
well. I know. Now, if anyone has a question or would like to give us some input on what we're talking about, or just give us some input, please call 727-597-4022. Now, I had another question, Rob. Oh, yeah. The cards, the tarot cards.
Yes, we also have a set of tarot cards which connect with every bottle. So, because Aura Soma connects with the tarot, and actually each bottle sits on the tree of life, or the Kabbalah, as some people refer to it as, then each has a tarot energy and a tarot image, which again gives you another level of information. And in a way, the tarot originally was designed to allow us to access that information which was maybe not consciously visible, but it represents a pattern of behavior, a pattern of response. So hopefully you can see on the camera the different cards and one or two of the images, which again, all the cards, all the bottles reflected with characters who represent possibilities of behaviour. We have Hansel and Gretel, we have characters like Serapis Bey, Saint Germain the Christ, Pallas Athena, all characters from history and from mythology who are really telling us a story about how we could approach life in a more positive way, how we could begin to access our highest possibility.
And I think that's that they are not as hard to read as our rider deck.
No, that's right. Originally, Aura Soma, I think, worked slightly with the rider deck, but then they began to realise that maybe that imagery could be a little bit difficult at times. And so the cards that you see in front of you are designed by a lady called Pamela Matthews, who's a wonderful spirit artist in New Zealand. And they were put together in coordination with Mike Booth, who is the chairman of Aura Soma and the Aura Soma Academy, to give you a visual aspect to what the energies within the bottles represent, so that you could actually pick together and piece together more information.
So the tarot card can match the colors.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
The Aura Soma.
If you look at them, we've got the bottle image one side, and there's the pictorial image of the tarot the other side. So it's increasing the degree of information that's accessible to you.
Now, I know you have been at the Arthur Findlay College, and I have too. But is that where you learned how to do this?
No, Aura Soma actually have a training academy in Lincolnshire at a place called Tetford, which is actually an Earth energy site as well. It's based on the Greenwich Meridian, so it's exactly on the 0 degrees Greenwich Meridian. And there is a Aura Soma College there. It's known as Dev Aura, which actually means House of Light. And it was founded in 1983, so we're coming up to the 30th anniversary of the creation of Aura Soma. The lady that created Aura Soma was actually quite an interesting story in itself, because she'd worked as a pharmacist, she'd worked as a healer, and just at the point in her life when, she was having a lot of health problems, and they decided to step away from their business and invest their money. All the money was lost, and that was the point when she had nothing, when actually Aura Soma was born. And one of the sayings she had was, it was the divine nudge off the cushion of complacency. And sometimes, it seems to me we have to have a nudge. And one of the things I've tried to work on is that I don't need too big a nudge these days to listen.
It was a divine nudge,
yes.
Meaning a divine push
into the right direction.
I had to listen to that word. I knew that's what you meant.
Yeah.
So if you did not understand that, it's a divine push. They pushed her into it. And that was in what year?
That was 1983.
1983. Okay. All right. What was the 1800s? Did you say something about the year 18? No.
That must be my accent.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Could be my years. We don't want to blame it on your accent. But it was good that she did that. And look how, is she still alive?
No, she passed sadly in 1991, but Mike Booth, her protege, has been taking it out into the world. She actually said it was a tool that had been given by God to actually begin the process of moving humanity into the fourth dimension. And I think, all the things we've been reading to do with the ending of the Mayan calendar and many other things are actually tools that have been brought forward from the source to help us to move out of the third dimensional energies more towards the heart center, where we're beginning to realize it's not just about paying the bills, having a relationship and controlling people. There's much more to life than that. And we're here to try and leave the world a little bit better for our being here.
Yeah, especially that word control.
Yeah.
Controlling people. That word is heavy. And I am not one who can be controlled anymore.
One of the things I always think, and it's often what I say to people, many of the religious tenets we have mention, free will, and yet so often God gives us free will and we hand that over to other people.
I know. It's to make people happy. I'm sorry, Will. I didn't hear you.
Hello?
Huh? Oh!
Uh-huh.
Oh, my Lord. Oh.
It is your ears.
It's
That's
the
the
spirit
It is.
world.
It is my ears. Hello. Who is on the other end? Can I help
This
you?
is Steve from St. Petersburg.
Well, how are you today, Steve?
I'm fine, thank you. I just had a question. I've just gotten home, and I'm sort of in the middle of what you've been doing. But this whole reading aura, is that correct? Reading people's auras. Can that be learned, or is that a gift or something? And another thing I'm interested in is is it the auras, are they, how can I put this? Is it like a spiritual mood ring sort of thing, or what? I'll take my answers off the air. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Now, Rob, would you like to
Yeah.
answer that, please?
Yeah, I'd obviously like to respond to that. I think sometimes, maybe sometimes we have a little bit of confusion or a little bit of a misunderstanding. The aura itself is the energies that are established around the physical body, and that's something that some people have naturally. It's the ability to see the colours around the physical body, the different levels of energy. When you go immediately out from the physical body, you have the etheric body, which is really the energy body that is created to allow the physical body to come into incarnation. If we're talking about light, which is the soul, then that is of a high vibration, and for it to exist in a physical dimension, energy body, or a bridging body, some people would call it, is created, which is the etheric body, and then it goes out into emotional bodies and astral bodies and mental bodies, but they tend to change from moment to moment according to your mood. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the aura, we're really talking about what we call the true aura, which is the colour ray that you've incarnated in, which will be for that lifetime, you know. So, for instance, someone who has chosen to come in on what we would call the violet soul ray, there's someone who's come to be particularly to work maybe with being of service, to work with healing, to work with possibly mediumship. Someone who is coming on the blue soul ray would be somebody who's needs to work with communication and with authority issues, because generally, if we think about examples, the colour of authority is generally blue, and you actually, through the blue throat chakra, that is how you express your authority. You will say, yes, I'll have that, no, I don't want any of that situation. Mm-hmm. So that is what we're calling really connecting with the true aura, the purpose of what you come to do, whereas a lot of people associate the other aura, it's more to do with the energies around us, which will change. If you notice, some people, when they're happy, when they're relaxed, their aura becomes expansive and they get very sort of light pale colours, and sometimes when they're depressed or when they're struggling, they'll often get dark heavy colours, which is a reflection of how they're feeling.
Can you see auras?
Yes, yeah. But again, often it's one of those things that the more you work with them, you begin to notice them. And I think anybody with a bit of training and a bit of discipline in terms of just focusing can begin to see auras in terms of the energy around the body. Whereas Aura Soma, you're really connecting with the true aura, the soul ray. That is something, and we always say Aura Soma is self-selective. I do not tell you which bottles. It will be the bottles you're drawn to, because at the deepest level, you know what you've come to do, you know who you are. And it's just recovering or recognizing that, which may have been lost over time due to conditions as you were growing up and throughout your life.
You know, when I first started in mediumship, I did have a class in auras, but I always had a hard time seeing them.
Yeah.
But
sorry. I was going to say, I think it's one of those things that often we can try a little bit too hard. And my own experience is that when you relax, mm-hmm. you see it. But when you're actually really focusing hard to look at it, it tends to get difficult because the conscious mind is then coming in to focus, and that's the analytical side.
Yeah. What about you, Kit? Can you see auras?
I'm just starting to learn to see auras. I sense more of the colour around everybody, which is my feeling of working with it. It's all about sensing what is around everybody. So that's how I've been working. I quite enjoy it. It's something different that I've been looking at, and I'm seeing blocks of energy around people. There are 2 great books, Michael Newton, Journey of the Soul and Destiny of the Soul. And he talks about colours. It's very fascinating, the group colours that we all work out of. So that's
Okay. Now, I cannot see the auras, but Blue Feather will tell me what color is around. If I'm talking with someone, not always, but yes, he will say that the color blue is, the aura for where they are at that time.
Yeah.
So that part does help me. So where you sense it, I hear it, and you see it.
Yeah, I can see it. And sometimes you can feel it. Sometimes actually you can feel the extent of somebody's aura. And a lot of healers will tell you they're sensing the aura with their palm chakras, which are obviously where we're doing a lot of the healing. So it's possible to feel the aura and how the aura is. Often when people are uncomfortable or they're ill, their aura will draw in, almost like you're drawing a coat around you when you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and when you feel relaxed, your aura expands outwards.
Oh, okay.
It's something I've been working with my students, getting them to feel and sense where the aura is.
Okay.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that I can see that I learned from a class with Caroline Mace,
Yeah.
and up at the ARE, Edgar Casey.
Edgar Casey, yes.
Yes. I do and can see. We got another phone call. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is Steve again from St. Petersburg. I'm watching the show, and I'm really fascinated by all this. And I wondered, is it possible to manipulate your aura?
That's a good question.
Could you possibly manipulate your aura for whatever reason? I mean, and could our guests look in the mirror or something and see their own aura? Do they know what kind of aura they have?
Yeah, a lot of
I'll
people.
take things offline.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people believe, it's possible with a little bit of practice. If you look into a mirror at the reflection of yourself and you almost allow your eyesight to become diffused, i.e. softened, you actually begin to see the aura, your own aura. It is also possible, and Aura Soma create products that are designed to work with the aura, and they introduce the energies of the crystals and the energies of the herbs to open up the aura if you want to meditate or you want to facilitate and access higher healing energies. They also introduce products called pomanders, which are more supportive and protective. So, for instance, we have a red pomander, which if we're going into a lot of where there's negative energy, sometimes when you're in the malls here with lots of people and you don't know what's happening in their lives and maybe they're unhappy, then they're putting those thoughts, I'm not happy with my life, out. And the red pomander will draw your aura in so you're not picking up so much of maybe that negative energy. Whereas if you're wanting to work with the healing, you want to actually open your auric field out further to access more information and more energy from the ascended masters and the higher beings.
Can't the mood change, or can the mood that you're in change the aura?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's what I was trying to say. Maybe I didn't give a good metaphor. Yeah, you notice that if people are depressed or they're unhappy, that aura becomes drawn in, their aura reduces in size. Whereas often if you look at someone who's very happy or very content, their aura is much further out because they're more expansive in their mood. So the aura is a good reflection, really, of how we're feeling and what state of well-being we're in.
Okay, because you could get up in a bad mood and have an aura, what I'm trying to say, and then later your mood changes, so then your auras or your color of the aura is going to change.
I always get up in a good mood because I've marked the right side of the bed for that. But often, I think sometimes, we may get up in a good mood, and then we often it's when perhaps we're working with people and they're in a bad mood, and before long we're taking that energy on board, and we begin to change our aura and the energy that it's reflecting.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and we try not to do that. I always get up. I'm a morning person. Are you a morning
Yes,
person?
I'm a morning person.
What do you, Kit?
I'm definitely a morning person.
Yeah, that's when I get things done. I painted 2 walls this morning before I came in
And,
here.
and she's got the paint on her hands
I
to
do.
confirm it.
Well, I have to do the cleaning and washing before I leave. My wife has me ordered around and leaves instructions. So,
Yeah, well, I
Yes.
thought I scrubbed it all off. But,
well,
but it's
I'll help you with that
finished.
later if you want.
Okay, at least it's finished. Yay!
Can I just answer Steve's question as well?
Go
Steve,
ahead.
I've been working with a lot of people with meditation recently, and we've been working on the aura, working on opening up, and then closing down. To do mediumship, we like to open people up a little bit. But the main important thing for me within this work, for me and for all of my students and for everybody out there, is to work on a closing down system. I close my chakras down. You can never close the chakras down. Let me explain that. But what I do is I pull them back and I cover them up, and I surround myself in a ball of white light and a ball of pink light. And then I sit myself in a ball of mirrors. And within that, whenever I leave the house, I am then protected. If I walk into 7-Eleven and there's somebody that got up on the wrong side of the bed, Janet, or painted 2 walls and not been happy about it and got it all over their hands, and they're in a bad mood, and I stand next to them and I haven't closed my aura down, I will stand next to them and they will walk away feeling absolutely fantastic. I will walk away feeling in a foul mood. So for me, it's about closing your system down and just protecting yourself. That's how I work with my aura, and that's how I work with my energy. And this is one of the things that we've been teaching people out here. And we teach this all over the world, and it's a main important thing to do, that we need to protect our energy.
And that's true.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, see, I balance what I do is I call it, I balance mine in the morning. And I learned that from Shirley MacLaine from a tape many years ago.
Yes.
And I created my own. And I did it for 10 years. Every day I did it. And now I don't do it as often, but I know when I have to go in there or wherever I am, I know when I need to balance them out because of how my day goes.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a good analogy or a good way to think about it is, the idea that energy follows thought. So what our thoughts are, the energy is following it. And, often if you go for a walk along maybe the beach or the lakeside, you can walk for hours and really enjoy it and feel quite happy. But often if you walk around the mall for half an hour, you're feeling drained, you're feeling exhausted. And it's the energy that's around you. And it's like every housewife knows at home, you dust, and a week later there's dust again.
Yeah.
Because the energy's in the atmosphere. Well, as well as physical debris, which we see as dust, there is mental and emotional. People are putting thoughts out which can affect us. If our aura is open, then that energy can affect us. And we begin, sometimes you go in somebody's house and you feel, this is nice, I could live here. And you can go in the house next door, the same style, and you can't get out soon enough. And it's the energy that people are putting out, because we live in energy. And just as the atmosphere of the earth keeps the worst of the cosmic energy out, then our aura acts like an atmosphere. It filters energy and it should keep out the negative. But we have to make sure it's closed down when it should be and it's open when it can be, to bring in the positive.
Another thing that I do is I have an affirmation that I say because ego has a lot to do with where we are or how we are, and of course our chakras. But what I want to say, I have an affirmation where I just tell ego to go away, and sometimes that helps me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, affirmations really is a way of framing a positive thought form to put in front of you. It's very basic. A prayer is an affirmation. It's actually putting that thought form that this is what I'd like to happen in my life. This is the energies I want to have around me. And so, if we use affirmations, it is a way of us putting positive energy into whatever it is we wish to succeed in.
Exactly. And I was taught many years ago to write it. I used to write it all the time. I have 2 that I say. and now I just say them. They're so embedded in me that it isn't even funny, but the affirmations are good also. All right, now, do you have any announcements, Rob?
Well, I'd just like to say for anybody, obviously, we're constrained by time on this show, but it's been wonderful and I've really enjoyed it, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. But for anybody like the gentleman who phoned in and wants to get a little bit more information, I do have a website which is www.begintherapy.com, and all the information is on there. You can access the Aura Soma page on the website. You can even load up the bottles and pick your own, and there's a little bit of information about each bottle, so that can be a way of accessing it. The Begin stands for Be Everything God Intended Now, because I believe we shouldn't wait to get to paradise. We should start to build that paradise, that Eden, here and now.
That's nice. I
Thank
like
you.
that.
Thank you.
That's nice. Kit, do you have a website that you'd like to
I
talk
do,
about?
Yes. My wife and I are both spiritual mediums, as you would call us out here. We are both working out in several places, in Dunedin, in the middle of Tampa, and in Thornetosota. I can't say that word properly, Janet. Would you like to pronounce that one for me?
Oh, that was good. It's Thornetosasa.
That's what I said. Are you deaf?
I know. Well, that's where, and you know, Pearl and Jamie will be on the show next week.
Yep.
And Pearl and Jamie are partners, and they own Mystical Sense. And Kit works out there on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I work out there on Thursdays,
Mm-hmm.
3 Thursdays a week. Sometimes I do classes out there, and you're doing classes out there sometimes too,
Occasionally,
right?
yes. You'll also be able to get me and Robert in Enchanted Spirits in Dunedin as well with Kathy.
Yeah.
Robert's working there this Friday with me. So we also, on our website, it tells you all about what we do, all the readings, where they are, and everything, how we work, and that's kitandnatalie.com.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And mine is website is www.bluefeather.net. And I won't be at Mystical Sense this Thursday because I will be in the villages, I think. I'm still waiting on Ina to get back with me. I emailed her, and
If you're listening, Ina, please get back to Janet.
Yeah, I need for them, because that's the only way I can get in. They give me a pass as a guest. But one of the other things that I will be doing is I will be doing what I call Talking Between Worlds. And it's a seance, and I will be doing that on a Sunday, and it will be in March, and I think it's March the 10th. So if anybody would like to come to a seance, you're more than welcome. The cost is $30 is what it is, and that's one of my favorite things, the seance. You get more information. You can really get some unique information from Spirit when you're doing this work.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if we listen and sometimes we just quieten our conscious mind, Spirit are really wanting to give us that information. And they always say to me when I'm doing circles and classes, the trouble with you here, you people, you don't sit quiet for long enough, and we want to talk to you.
No, we don't. No.
So how does the seance work for you, Janet? How do you do it?
We form a circle, and we can form a circle in the living room, just so you know, between the couch and the chairs and everything. I say a prayer. I have a prayer that Blue Feather and I guess I could say created, okay? And I say that prayer first, because that's most important. And then what we do is we go around the circle one-on-one. Blue Feather will bring family members in, and then we also give some insight to what's coming in their business world, just in their world, and then we end it with the Lord's Prayer.
Okay.
But prayer is most important when you're doing a seance, and and that's because of the keep the energy good. But I don't want any bad entities or bad energy, so we don't allow it at all.
Okay.
Okay, I have a strong mind on that, and I'm glad that I do because it helps. It really does. Now, how long were you at? Did you work at Arthur Findlay, Rob?
I've done many courses at Arthur Findlay, and I've worked in many different spiritual centres in the United Kingdom. We're very lucky, really, because we do have access to quite a few very good teaching facilities. We've also got a place called, and this is probably one you'll struggle with, called Hanafna, which is in South Wales, which is also a nice teaching centre. And also, Aura Soma themselves, I've done many courses with them until I've become a teacher, and now I teach courses with Aura Soma. So really, I've been lucky that I've been able to get out and about and access many different strands to do with spirituality. One of the things I'd say to many people, we can get a little bit hooked up on what's the right way, and I would say it's what's right for you, because you're an individual, and that is what you need to remember. Doesn't matter how you find God, so long as you find God.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all routes to the same destination. Sometimes we'll take little bits from one thing, and other bits it's like we're collecting a spiritual toolkit. Mm-hmm. And we do things, and then you think, yeah, that feels right. Maybe that's not quite for me. And I think that's part of your journey.
I agree with you on that. I really do. And I feel we all have our own special way of doing readings, wouldn't you say?
Correct.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I really do. All of us are unique in one thing or another. Even though we all hear spirit, we're still unique in our readings.
Yeah. And we still all hear spirit in a unique way to ourselves.
Yeah. See? So, sometimes I get symbols, sometimes I get words, and then I go by my feelings, and that's what you do too, right?
Exactly,
kid?
yes. I have people come up to me while we're doing our classes and say, can I be like the Long Island medium? Well, yes, you can be like the Long Island medium, but please don't tell people I taught you. And that's just a joke we have between ourselves. But the Long Island medium is a fantastic example of working in the media, where she works with cameras and works with other people just walking up to them. We tend to teach people not to do that. We tend to teach people to keep their energy in, and to teach people to work within their own space and not to take it out on the street. She's a fantastic advertisement for this, but we still like to teach people to do their work properly.
I was taught to ask permission to give a message if you're standing next to somebody and something does come. I often joke, because sometimes every now and then I will go and meet friends at the bar at Cody's, and they'll all want to know. They want to know, am I tuned in?
Who's with me? Who's with me? Yeah. Who's the lady standing with me? That's your grandma, but I'm not going to talk to her because I'm having a pint of Guinness myself.
Exactly.
I'm opening myself up to a different kind of spirit, so thank you very much.
And I always say I'm tuned out. I'm not on today. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, I think that's exactly true. I mean, in Aura Soma, we say that Aura Soma is a non-intrusive, self-selective. And the same is true with your mediumship. It may be that those people do not actually need or in the right place to have that information. They're not ready for it. And you can actually, it is as being intrusive and maybe being a bit egotistical to turn on and do things when we've not been asked.
That's so true. I saw that in Camp Chesterfield, where we were taking a class, and one of the women allowed her guide to jump in, and she got up. She went over to one of the men and just gave him all kinds of information. No permission was granted here. And then what happened is, when she was finished, when the spirit guide left, she almost fell on the floor, and they caught her. And the teacher was really upset about that. I never did forget that.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit like if you were a decorator or a painter like Janet here, and you went in somebody's hall and painted it without her asking. She might not be too pleased.
Well, it would depend on what color they put up there. If it was the right color, I would say, please continue.
I think,
anytime you want to wash pots, please feel free to come and wash pots at my house.
Well,
I think if you meant to give a message, the person will ask you, or the conditions will be put together for that to happen.
Yeah. And that's true. That's true. Well, I just want y'all to know that I really appreciate both of y'all being here.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, I've enjoyed it, Rob.
Thank you
I really
very much.
have. And really, when you do start a class, introduction class, and I know a couple other people that would maybe perhaps like to learn it too.
Thank you.
I really am interested in that. And I also learned how to channel Blue Feather at Arthur Findlay. I love Arthur Findlay College, and I also love Glastonbury.
Yeah, I think, I'd say to anybody, if you get the opportunity, and if you're on the spiritual pathway, if ever you get the opportunity to go to Arthur Findlay College or to Glastonbury, it is well worth it doing. They are wonderful centres of energy and centres to do with the development and the history of the spiritual movement.
Yes, it's a good place to go. There's and the countryside is beautiful.
It is very nice. So
Yes.
it's nice, just for a holiday. And really, it's one of those places where you can let the world drift away from you.
Can I just add something on Arthur Findlay College?
You can, sir.
I had a reading from the young gentleman 3 years ago, and he told me that I would be going to Arthur Findlay College, and he also told me I would meet somebody at the same time.
How
I
about
met my
that?
wife there, and that's where we met, and we've been inseparable ever since.
Isn't that nice?
It's very nice, and that's what the energy at Arthur Findlay College did for me, and now she's trying to divorce me.
No, she's not.
She's not really, no.
No, she's not.
She may be killing me when I get home for saying all
Yes.
these things, but
Yeah.
there you go. That's a
I
different
was just
story
going to say,
altogether.
cancel, Kit. Cancel.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
got to say to that I may have given him that insight, but I've got to thank him because it's up to him and the generosity of him and his wife that I've had the opportunity to come to America. I've met lovely people like you. Everybody I've met has been so kind and so welcoming, and I just want to say to everybody here, you have a lovely state, and everybody is so nice, and I've been so pleased to have the possibility to come here.
Well, I'm glad. Well, I really did enjoy today. So once more, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And y'all can also go on when you go on my webpage, you can see all my events, and you can click on my calendar, and that'll tell you where I am also. So, Steve, wherever you are, I hope you're listening. Thank you very much for calling in. We enjoyed your questions. I hope we were able to answer them well for you. And everybody, just have a great day, and thank you.
Let's take this show on
Thank
the
you.
road.
Yeah, take the show on the road. I get chills. I've had nothing but. Thank you for joining us today on Insight. Join us weekly where we will give spiritual insight, tips, and techniques to aid you on your spiritual journey. May Spirit be with you.